Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I've got no idea what time you're watching this, but it is currently 4:35 p.m. over there on the East Coast on February the 22nd. We are preparing for the futures to start trading in about an hour and a half. And weekend Wall Street, which is not 1,000,000% accurate, it is simply just a clue to look into, has been pretty slow all weekend. News report came out just a few hours ago. If I could scroll down on the Iranian president, which I will not try and pronounce his name, stating that recent talks with the U.S. yielded encouraging signals. Post that he put over there on X. However, everybody and their mother by now not only knows that the USA beat Canada in men's hockey, women's hockey the other day. Absolutely fantastic match. But every American that has gone south of the border for the weekend down there in Puerto Vallarta and all those other parts of Mexico are FUBAR, as they have killed the second coming of El Chapo, and this motherfucker, El Mencho, was nobody to fuck around with, and his entire crew has lit the city on fire. So there's going to be a lot of people that are stranded over there, and probably, I don't want to predict it, but probably going to be some very nasty scenarios that are going to be coming up here over the next few days, and here we are. Looking to go into the final week of the trading month, which today, for those of you who are keeping track, today is the final day of week number 8 of 2026. Completely up to you whether or not you track that, and that would mean that right here, week number 8 is gone and dusted and is never, ever, ever coming back. So, as we move forward, let's look over here at the SPX. The SPX closed the week green with that nasty, nasty economic data that came out at 8:30 in the morning over there on Friday of horrible data. Horrible. Followed up by, right there after the opening bell, the Supreme Court saying that Donald Trump's tariffs are illegal, and then reports coming out immediately that, coincidentally, Howard Lutnick's sons had bet against the tariffs being legal and were able to make a gigantic amount of millions and millions of supposedly fake dollars on that deal. So anyway, 5 green closes above where we opened, which is simply an anomaly tracker because you trade what's in front of you. But as Friday was fuck around and find out Friday with OPEX to add on to it, notice how you only made it to 69.15.86 with the monthly candle being 69.16.64. Pretty interesting, isn't it? But anyway, you got yourself a green week, which I am going to go over here in a little bit more detail for those of you who enjoy seeing the bigger, broader picture rather than just a 0 DTE point of view. And for those of you who simply just couldn't give two shits because you think you're smarter than the average bear. So let's look at this here, okay? We've got 5 green weeks on the year, 2026. We've got 3 red weeks on the year. The final week, which was the first day of the year, January 2, following off from the ending of last year. And here on January 16th, where, as I mentioned, that being OPEX week as well, it was somewhat questionable whether or not you wanted to call this a red week, being that we closed down fucking 4 points on the week. But anyway, we'll give it what it is. So we've got yourselves 5 green weeks from the open, 3 red weeks from the open of the week. And last year you had 32 weeks and 19 weeks tracking the same data. So nothing significant to look at there. However, we're going to talk about this as we move on and we move forward. Everybody remember April? Does everybody remember April of last year? Does everybody remember March of last year? Does everybody remember February of last year? How we topped right on COVID Day, February 19th. We had 3 red months in a row down there into that big tariff draw, which bottomed on April 7th. As you recall, we had a little bit better, fractionally better, but only for minutes, 1 minute candles only, dropping down below that minus 20% level over there on the SPX as we hit that April 7th lows. 3 red months in a row. Since April, we've been producing green months consecutively. May, June, July, August, September, October. We got that red month there in November with that little bit of a shakedown. But only here. Only here. And it was only because of the QQQ. You had your red month there over there in December. Or sorry, your green month in December. I apologize, being colorblind for 30 seconds as it's, 5:43 in the morning over here. And you had your green month in January. So your monthly candle, which is going to be ending here on Friday, is 69, 16, 64. Completely up to you what you'd like to do. And here we go with news coming out right now.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb.
Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade.
Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
Trump considers targeted strike against Iran, followed by larger attack. That coming out from the New York Times, 1641, so 4:41 in the afternoon, 1 minute ago. And we'll see if there is any reaction, which, like I said, because this is just a clue with your weekend Wall Street. But however, for those of us that trade and play this video game, 690951, we really do not want a gap down, because then that means that we're going to have a gap up above, which is going to be needing to be filled. And you're on not the event horizon, okay? This is a liquidity horizon that we're coming into. You've got a period here with the end of a month being here on February 27th, this Friday. But you also have another week, which is going to be following this week that ends February 27th, and that happens to end on March the 6th, assuming the world isn't disintegrated between now and March the 6th. What you've got happening here on February 28th, you've got a very rare 6-planet alignment that's going to be lighting up the sky, once in a lifetime event. You go over to planets.com, look over there at, where is this, March the, what was it? February 28th. Let's go back there, February 28th. And right here, as you can see, you've got Earth, Mercury, Venus, Saturn, Neptune, all lined up right in synchronicity with each other. What does it mean? What does it mean? Well, for most of you, I would say 99.9% of you, it doesn't mean anything whatsoever. For me, it makes a big deal, because I used to trade with planetary alignments prior to starting any of this, when I was just doing it on my own, and I would do 2, 3, maybe 4 trades that were of any significance over the course of a year, and it was all based on planetary alignments. You can go and do your own research and go check out Bradley Cytograph. Look at Bradley Cytograph. Unfortunately, Donald Bradley passed away a few years ago, and there's been no updates or any continuation of his studies, which I could never figure out. But it's on you. So I personally am looking for that to be a not only liquidity event that's going to be coming up here, but you've also got your full moon. Your full moon's going to be taking place on March the 3rd. It's being called the worm moon, and you can, again, go and do your own research as much as you'd like to do on what's going to be occurring with that. But I bring that in, and I bring it into context from my personal point of view with everything, and I've been sharing this for the better part of 3 weeks. February 19th, tracking the Fibonacci spiral here from the December 2025 top. February 19th would have been the exact date of when we would have gotten our low. And expecting that COVID, all of the shit that was taking place during the course of the week, it was being assumed from a biased point of view that we were going to be breaking down, but down lower than that to start entering into that March 6th wormhole. Well, unfortunately, 67.75.50, which took place there on Monday, was the low for that. And again, this is an art. It's not a science. It's a one of 37 different indicators which you can use to try and predict the future, which, I'm not the greatest at that. My trades are never actionable, as it's already been said. But here on the bigger, broader February 19th top from 2025, which has been a hell of a lot more accurate, it's looking for a low to be placed there on March the 3rd. So whatever you want to do with this information is completely up to you. You can go learn how to read Hebrew, which I'll point in here in a couple of minutes at the end of the video as we speak about Iran. On your spreads, pretty, blasé kind of week, because again, we had our low over there on Monday, or on Tuesday, with the day off being on Monday, and we simply chopped around in that nowhere zone, which we're still in the nowhere zone, and here we are heading into the final week after OPEX is finished, with the QQQ right on here doing exactly what needed to be done. QQQ put itself in with a green week. The green week is in the books. We went up there on Friday, got that 610 like I was expecting and looking for us to be. But unfortunately, the QQQ is already producing itself a pretty distinct red month, with the month of February having opened there at 618.70 and us unfortunately not being able to reach up into the 610 area for the better part of a week now. And then you've got your IWM. The IWM, which currently, as of now, is up 6 points on the month, up 2.37% on the month, granted, plus 55.67% from the April lows, but sitting here right now, positive, plus 2.37% for the month. Now, on these, IWM, QQQ, SPX, and SPY, I've got trades in your email, which I'm not going to share on screen because this is for you guys. I've got trades in your email. I've got a trade on the SPX for February 27th, and I also have your March 6th SPY, QQQ, and IWM, and you've got all night Sunday to look over them and make any kind of decisions or, research on them as you wish to do. But Monday morning, the market will be open, and it'll be your time to make a decision on that or not. So, again, moving on with this, we do have some nice earnings this week. I'm going to cover that when I come back on it. So let me jump you over to the charts real quick and start you out here with SPX. The week that we just had, which again, 67.75, quite friggin' obvious that we're going to get a bounce having come down to that area now 3 times. Boom, 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 69.09, little bit of a dip right to that perfect 68.38. Would have been better if we could get 68.08. And then your horrible, absolutely horrible economic data. Tariffs have been deleted, defunct, they're not allowed. And after your little dip there prior to Trump talking, which as you all know already, he has already taken himself to the level of telling you that you are getting, whether you like it or not, 15% tariffs across the board. Every country. 69.15.86. Boom, 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 boom. Moving averages, still bearishly stacked. I'll move you off from this and start moving you on to the bigger, broader, wider version. We're here. What we're looking at is the entire month of February. We're looking at the month of February, having opened at 69.16.64. Our pop up there to 69.93, drop, bounce back to 69.93, drop, and here we are sitting here in limbo, right in the 50-yard line between 68.78, 69.16. Bearish stacked on the moving averages still, obviously. 20-day, 10-day, 5-day with your 50-day there in red and your 100-day there in green, being that these are the ones that are applicable at the moment. Broader view, looking at this from the beginning of the year, which I believe, is this not? Oh, nope, this is the month of February as well. My apologies. Let me change this over just so we can have a little bit of a broader view. Because who doesn't like to look at a broader view? Because broads are hot. And this is where you are for the year. Having started out there at 68.78, we've been tracking these waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, ABC, ABC, ABC. And again, we're sitting here in nowhere but limbo with this bounce having come off. Looked good, 69.01, 69.08. Looked good, 69.09 right there. A little bit better than the 123.6 extension. And here we are reaching up to the 138.2 extension over here on Friday with that little pop a little bit higher, up to 69.12. 50-day or the 50 retracement from that drop, sitting there pretty perfectly, holding everything together. So what does it mean? Well, all it means is the same thing that it has meant, which bigger, broader, wider picture, whether you like it or you don't like it, I really don't give a shit. I don't. I've put too much heart and soul into caring about everybody's ability to be able to get out of the trap of 9 to 5 so that they can go and make a choice and make a decision to create their own 9 to 5, whatever 9 to 5 it is that you want to do. I'll tell you right here. I'll stop you right here in the middle. Where are we? Here. This is the 9 to 5 that I've got to deal with tomorrow, right here. I've got about 200 aloe vera plants that I need to repot. So after I finish the video, I'm going to research a little bit about what's the easiest and best method to repot them, because I'm not going to let them go away, because we use aloe every single day with what we do. But back onto this, coming off of COVID, again, and anybody with, anyone can do this. You've got your 1, you've got your 2, your 2022 high, your 2022 low. That's your 1, that's your 2. Here we are with our 3. Right up there into the COVID anniversary on February 19, 2025. Here's your wave 4, down there on tariffs. And here's your wave 5, and it's the end. It is. You've got a 262-point run over there up to your 1. You've got a 265-point run. The minimum requirement reached over there on your SPY. And the same thing over here onto your wave 5, which is currently where we're at. You're at 216. So can this go and add another 40, another 50? No, well, not 50, but 40, 45 points and head higher? Of course, it can mathematically. But then there's that reality point of view of what's going on with things, because here you go. I mean, you haven't had this. Where are we? Your 50-day and your 100-day are about 3 weeks, call it, 3 weeks, maybe a month from actually crossing over negative. Crossing over negative, like you saw over here, where is this? Back in March 12th of last year. That was where they crossed over negative, but you had to get your move down to the downside before they crossed negative. And for the majority of people, this is where your initial, okay, I'm going to get short trigger is supposed to be when you read a textbook. You come over here and you see your 50-day crossing your 200-day. Took place on April 11th. That's where everybody would start saying, okay, now I'm going to sell my positions because we've made a death cross. Well, you're a fucking moron, because that's where the bounce starts taking place. So, again, looking at your SPX coming back here, and I'm looking at this from December 1. December 1 to where we're at. We have been chopping in this, call it 68.40, 68.25, 69.50, 69.40 area. We got a 150 point range for 3 months. It's not that difficult of a game. It's not. And then you look over here at DIA, over at the Dow Jones ETF, which I'm going to cover here in a couple of minutes with a bigger, broader picture of what's going on here. But again, looking back here at DIA for the beginning of the year into now, nothing but resistance at 495 forever. And then suddenly you get this one pop so that Pam Bondi and the meme people can make that song about the Dow, the Dow, the Dow. It's 50,000. You know, here you are, DIA 505, and right back down to this 495 area. And again, the question starts coming is, what does it mean? When is it going to happen? What does it mean? Well, QQQ, unfortunately, is the bloodline of the entire stock market. You know, and the QQQ's pretty much been a dead donkey for a considerable period of time now. And more significantly, your 50-day and your 100-day crossing over bearish negative is likely to be taking place within the next 2 weeks. And you look at this from a broader point of view on your QQQ, your COVID lows, 164.93, which I'll just have you know, your COVID lows did not ever take out your December of 2018 lows. So let's get back to this here. Your COVID lows up to your November 2021 highs, 243.78 points. AI had not been invented as of yet. Boom, your drop, 2022, minus 154.5 points. And your bounce all through 2022 into 2023. And right here in May of 2023 was the very first time you ever heard the mention about AI. It came from NVIDIA. And after that is when things started to pick up. We had our high in July, our 3 red months in a row going into where Israel invaded Gaza on October 27th, 2023, and our push to the upside, which again, topped out right on COVID 2025, February 19th. You have a 286.55 point move to the upside. You've got your 1, you have your 2. You can squiggle all the different lines that you want with your Fibonacci extensions in here. You're going to see the same thing, that you have a completed 5 waves to the upside. You've got your wave 3 right there, and then your boom, your ABC, just like on SPY, right down there. And look where they come down to is what I want you to see on this. You come down to the 2022 low or highs, all the lows in April, right down there, just to test the waters for the maximum availability of it. But your bounce that you've had since April, 234.62 points so far on the QQQ. So again, can this add another 40 points, another 50 points to not break the wave 3 length and not be longer than wave 3? Mathematically, absolutely yes, it can. And then you come on to your IWM. Your IWM, which is mind-blowing. But mind-blowing things happen every now and then. You know, Steph Curry, he blows everybody's mind making these, you know, full court, half court, from the fucking locker room shots that, you know, go into the net. The move over here off of that 228.90 from back here in November when we had our sell-off going in prior to the Thanksgiving, minus 9.44%. Look at this clean. You can see boom, 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 1, 2, 3, ABC, boom, boom. Come in here off of your 1, 2, AB, and you've got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the move to the upside to 271. It's clean, very clean. And here we are trotting around where we can't get a break down below 260 for anything more than 38 seconds. You've got your big gap over here down 255, 258, so that gap is below 260. Your monthly candle, again, over on the IWM, just so that everybody is very well aware of it, is right up there at 258.48. So for this to be a green month on the IWM, you'd be looking at a close on Friday above 258.48. But you still have, again, March 3 coming next week. So let me zoom you out here just to give you a much wider point of view to this, right? This is your NDX looking at a 12-hour, looking all the way back here to October, and how you can very clearly and cleanly see all you have been doing is chopping around all this time. But let's zoom this out so you can see it from a broader point of view. And that's your broader point of view coming off of the, not the COVID lows. This is the 2009 lows, 2008, 2009. Nice 1, 2, bang, 3. So this is a bullish perspective that you only have 3 waves to the upside since the 2009 lows. So therefore, there would be a very nice wave to the downside, very nice correctional wave to the downside, before one last final wave to the upside. That would be a textbook situation. But you look in here at your weekly, and you look here how you've been just weakening on your RSI, lower and lower and lower. So from a predictive analysis point of view, it's not going to take too much of a dip for you to be able to get oversold on your weekly. So theoretically, once again, we're looking back over there at the April 2025 highs. Right there, 2222261. That would theoretically bring you into a little bit better than a minus 10% drop, somewhere in the range of around 13 or 14%. And again, theoretically, from a technical point of view, your weekly would be oversold, and you would have your big major buy signal to be able to get into the upside. So, you know, looking at it from a daily point of view, daily is just chopping along week line. So on the Dow Jones, now here is where we get really interesting on this, right? Here's your Dow Jones, okay? But we'll zoom out, again, zooming out properly. And you see where we're at here, where I've got this number 10. Let me move back here real quick on the NDX. Here's your monthly view. All right, this goes back to history. And look at how your monthly RSI has already been rolling over here since the better part of October. Now, we haven't had an oversold monthly since 2022 lows, the 2009 lows, the 2002 lows. So I'm not calling or asking or suggesting that we're going to get the RSI oversold on the monthly. However, you have everything from a technical point of view rolling down to the downside and simply just waiting for a catalyst, a why. Why is it going to happen? But looking at the Dow Jones from a weekly point of view, again, we're just chopping around, virtually doing nothing over on the weekly. But again, come over here onto your monthly and look at your big, broad point of view. And as we are here, about to produce a 10th green month on the Dow Jones, because the Dow, it's at 50,000, 10 green months in a row since that April sell-off. 10 green months in a row. You've got to go back to 1957, the last time anything even remotely close to this took place. And here we are. So on the Russell 2000, the 12-hour, again, nothing to be spectacular about. But again, let's zoom out here, look at it from a bigger, broader monthly point of view, where the monthly is not yet overbought. We're not yet into screaming and hollering overbought with the RSI over 90. However, we've broken every record there is to be broken on the Russell 2000 since it started trading back here in, prior to 2000.com. 7 green months, 6 green months, 8 green months on the Trump bounce off of the COVID lows. And here we are with 10 green months in a row on the Russell fucking 2000. Which again just brings you back over to the SPX. And from a bigger, broader, wider view of things, bigger, broader, and wider on all of it, 5507. Just remember that number 5507. Don't forget it. Remember the number 5507, because whether you like it, you don't like it, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. Remember that number 5507. We're not talking about next week. We're not talking about next month. Remember that number 5507 as you move forward on the SPX through the week. So let me finish you off with earnings that are coming out this week. And bring you over here and bring you over there. Yeah. Monday, Domino's Pizza. Now, we used to trade a lot of Domino's Pizza, years ago. Kind of just fell off the map. It's a very low volume kind of option trade where, you might be able to do 10 contracts, but the liquidity is not really there. You've got Domino's Pizza, you've got Home Depot. No, I do not cover AMC. No, I will not pull up a chart for AMC. No. On Wednesday, we have NVIDIA. You already have a trade that I have taken, which I've issued out with the 32 trades on NVIDIA. They'll be reporting here on Wednesday after the close. And then on Thursday after the close, you have CoreWeave, which, again, I already have a trade on CoreWeave. I've emailed it out to everybody to share with you as a 32 trade. Earnings are going to be coming out on Thursday, and on Wednesday you have your NVIDIA. So quickly looking over at both of those. And here we go. Domino's Pizza. Yeah, Domino's Pizza already 30% from the all-time highs. I mean, just mathematically being a genius, Monday morning I'd be looking for 351. Man, that would I wouldn't even have to breathe to be thinking, okay, we're going to see 351. Is there a trade to take after that? No, I don't see anything worthy of being taken for a trade. NVIDIA, you already have your email out on NVIDIA. We cover NVIDIA every day, every week, every month. Over here, again, since July, you have basically been trading in this 171, 190 area. 171, 190, a 20-point range, which isn't bad, because it's only a $190 stock. But you've been trading in this 20-point range here since July. Earnings are going to be on Wednesday. I've shared my view with it. I've shared everything I can do about that already. Home Depot, slow mover. It's not Caterpillar. It's not McDonald's, but it's a slow mover. And on Home Depot, again, I really, really don't like trading earnings prior to the report coming out. Although, as you know, I have the NVIDIA, I have the CoreWeave. I would hopefully see a better than 400 print up in this 400, 410, 420 area. And then maybe there's an opportunity to go and look and see if there's something out into June or into July. But right now, again, I wouldn't be doing anything on it. And here's your CoreWeave. Your CoreWeave will be reporting on Thursday after the market close, which is the day after NVIDIA reports. So NVIDIA is already going to open a can of worms, or the can of, sunshine. Throw that pussy up in the air and it turn into a fucking butterfly. And here you are with CoreWeave. CoreWeave, to me, personally, I want to see minus 50. But it's only because I know the scam that CoreWeave is. So again, you've got your big planetary alignment coming up this weekend. You've got, as you see there, you have your no, I do not want to show any of that because I had that. I'll show that in a second. I'm going to be working with my aloe vera plants later on today just to clean them up because I want to be able to get to my avocados. But a liquidity event. A liquidity event is what I'm looking for and kind of expecting to be taking place over the course of these next 2 weeks. And a question for anybody who has any understanding about this, because I've watched this over and over like everybody else has. And yeah, the one thing that's gotten me now, yes, they go and they usher in all the photographers. They bring them in. Look at this guy here, these cops and the way that they are. And you're thinking, somebody just shot the president. They bring in the photographers, and look at these fuckwit photographers that are there alone. The crane is lowering the flag down so that they can get the picture. But here's the part. Here's the part that I missed before. But then, this guy here, you watch him and how he's making sure that there's attention made to the podium, to this Trump. There's attention made to it. Okay, let's move it down. Let's move the sign down to make it look more, graphic of everything taking place here. I hadn't looked at that yet, but there again, you've got everybody else. And again, I've been shot. I've been shot twice. My scars, fucking 35 years old, I've still got the scars. Trump's got no scars. So, good luck, everybody. I wish you the greatest of weeks. I wish you the greatest of weekends. I know that there's a lot of you that are not going to be around for much longer, only because you really don't give a shit about your future. And that's not my problem, because I'll find, another group of people that will be looking forward to their future. So enjoy your weekend.
Yeah. Well, one side recommendation I have is don't worry about squirreling money away for retirement in 10 or 20 years. It won't matter.
No.
Okay.
Either we're not going to be here, or
it just it's you won't need to save for retirement. If any of the things that we've said are true, saving for retirement will be irrelevant.
the services will be there to support you. You'll have the home, you'll have the healthcare, you'll have the entertainment.
The way this unfolds is fundamentally impossible to predict because of self-improvement of the AI and the accelerating timeline.
Yeah, it's called
Any
singularity
solution-
for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know what goes happen. What happens after the event horizon? You know?
Exactly. You can never see past the black hole or the event horizon, the light cone.
I mean, Ray has the singularity out way too far. I mean, this is like the next, what's your timeline for this?
We're in the singularity.
Well, we are in the singularity, for sure.
Yeah.
We're in the midst of it right now, for sure.
Yeah.